Hi, welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers. I'm Mary Lindsay Wilson, and um, I am delighted to introduce our speaker for tonight, Jean Slatter. And hang on, she's got a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to read this. So Jean has been a lifelong dowsers. She learned from her father, who was a plumber, and he used dowsing in his work. I may have to have a story about that, Jean. She's obviously an accomplished author and an inspirational speaker. She's written the amazing book, Hiring the Heavens, and she's helped thousands of people to receive clarity, direction, purpose, gaining direct access to their higher guidance. She's also an accomplished artist, and she has paintings that are featured in several locations. Her website is jeanslatter.com or creativemystic.com. And she shared the stage with lots of pretty high profile folks. She's been at the Awakening conferences. She, shared stage with Marianne Williamson, Dr. Joe Vitale, Dan Millman, Jean Houston, Don Miguel Ruiz, and lots of others. So we are delighted to have Jean here tonight to just tell us about hiring the heavens. Welcome.
Thank you, Mary. I feel like now I'm home. This is home here. I want to say thank you again, Terry, for being here. It's just so good to see you. She's a special lady.
Yeah, we had a nice kind of fun chat as we were warming up. So yeah, there's a lot of wonderful folks that have joined, and we record this and then we share it on YouTube and our Facebook channel. So people that can't attend live can hear it again, and you can share it with others, because there's always just such a wealth of information that is captured while we're doing this. So yeah.
So I have a question for you right away. That I didn't actually learn dowsing from my father. Where did that story come from?
I don't know. I don't know if I read it somewhere. But your dad was a plumber, right?
No.
Some other version of you. Okay.
Yeah, that was in another life.
That's in another life. Oh, that is so funny. Okay. Wow. I can't tell you where I read that and I was like, that is so cool. She grew up dowsing, and that her dad was a plumber and dowsed and taught her. So that is clearly somebody else.
No, as a matter of fact, that something like that would have never been allowed in my family.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up in a fundamentalist church that I consider a cult, and for the first 20 years of my life, and anything to do with pendulum dowsing or oracles or anything like that, that was taboo. That was witchcraft. So something like that would have never been allowed.
So that was not your dad.
No. I thought, but how interesting. Where did that story come from? No, but
That's funny.
Where I learned to douse is I think, one of the things that I have realized, and that what hiring the heaven has helped me to realize, and I bet you each and every one of you would also have a story like this, that once you start tapping into the angelic presence, and that you start asking questions about your life and receiving answers either through pendulum dowsing or other intuitive means, or they flat out give you a plain message, you start realizing that your life is being orchestrated, that you're here on purpose for a purpose, and there's a reason for the events in your life. And so for me, growing up in a fundamentalist church for 20 years and then leaving it, I left the church when I was 19, just turned my back on it when I realized that what they were telling me wasn't true. So something I had believed in and bought hook, line, and sinker, because, when you're a child, you don't learn to question, or you don't want to question. But at age 19, I began to do the most outrageous thing and question. And when I did that, everything fell apart. All their dogma fell apart. And so when I left the church, I turned my back on anything to do with spirituality and religion for the next 20 years. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. I thought people that believed in angels, that talked about spirituality, that talked about God, they were nuts. They're off their rocker. None of that is true. So that's where I was for 20 years after that, until my 40s, when I had my pivotal moment that I talk about in my book, Hiring the Heavens, and things began to turn around for me. And I realized that yes, there is something beyond what my eyes can see. And we are more than just this physical body. And once I started to tap into that and started receiving this incredible verification of that, I began to see my life through the lens of how beautifully it was orchestrated. It was like guidance from the get-go, or my soul from the get-go arranged it to say, here, we're going to show you what it's like to totally believe in a dogma, give up your mind and never question. Then we're going to spend the next 20 years where you're in complete denial of anything that is beyond this physical. And then we're going to show you how you can access it on your own and discover your own truth. And how beautifully that was done. Like, how else would I be able to talk about that with the certainty that I have if I hadn't gone through those phases? So when dowsing actually was also a huge part of my awakening. And so I'm going to stop right there, because I'm already going off on a tangent, and I want to make sure that I get to what you want to know.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. And if somebody has a question, you're welcome to put it in the chat, and I can kind of monitor that. But yeah, I think the story of, for those of folks that don't know kind of how you ended up here, I think it's helpful to do that. You're doing great.
Okay, yeah, like, who would have ever thought? I was given a message years ago when I gathered a group of women together in a Tahoe resort, and we were there with a lady that was she was helping me develop Hiring the Heavens and write the book. And she brought with her a bunch of oracles. And again, that was taboo, what I grew up with. And I now have over 90 oracles. I just love collecting them. But at the time, that was taboo. And so I didn't even know what they were. And so I asked her, well, what do you do with these? And she said, you just shuffle the deck, have a question in mind, lay them out, draw a card, and see what that message means to you. So I was fascinated at the messages that were coming forth. But the one that changed my life was the I Ching, because she had all these fun little tools. And the I Ching is way too complicated for me now. I never use it. But I played with it years ago. That one time I said, how do you do it? And she was showing me how you throw the coins, and then we figure out what the broken lines are and the solid lines. And after this exhaustive process of trying to figure out what the message is, it's finally led to one sentence. And the sentence was, it is time for you now to share with the world the spiritual insights you have been given. I'll tell you what, that just was like a wave that just went through my body. And I just knew, okay, that is my mission. That is why I had the upbringing that I had, and why I went through that period of incomplete denial of it all, and why I had the pivotal experience and changed my life. And I wrote writing Hiring the Heavens at the time. It all made sense to me that this was what my soul was here to do, was to share the spiritual insights that I've been given. And so that is what I've been doing ever since probably about age 45 to 50. That's when I really started getting out there. And it's been so clear to me how it was orchestrated from the very beginning. And I love that. And I think that anybody that really starts to tap into, either through the pendulum or through hiring the heavens or their own spiritual practice, they begin to see their life as an orchestration. There is purpose. There's a reason for your experiences. They're not random. It's not like you're put here, abandoned on the earth and okay, whatever happens is just random. And you're a victim to whatever shows up. It isn't. There's themes that are being worked on, and there's purpose behind it. And the beauty of it is too that you begin to understand that you were before incarnating, you collaborated and created the purpose for your incarnation. So it's like, if anybody would have told me back in my 20s and 30s that what I was really here to do was to be a spiritual teacher, oh, you would have gotten a flat out laugh from me. I mean, that would have been the most ridiculous thing. And I remember even where I worked, there, it was an office building, and there was rumors that one of the ladies, she actually worked with tarot cards. I purposely would not go down her hallway. This was back when I was in my 20s. I would not go down her hallway because I was so afraid of accessing my own inner truth, and so afraid of anything that would empower me. I wouldn't have put it in those terms back then, but that's what it was, is a fear of accessing my own truth. But through dowsing, through hiring the heavens, that's exactly what happens. It's a path to your own inner truth. So anyway.
Yeah, so it took 20 years to get there, but you got there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then there sounds like absolutely no denying it. I mean, that's a very clear message.
Yes.
It is time for you to now, share your spiritual gifts.
Yes. Yes. And yeah. And when you hear truth, you guys, the ones that I can see here, shake your head yes if you agree with me. When you hear truth, doesn't it feel just like it reverberates through every cell in your body? There's just no denying it. There's no hiding from it.
Yeah. So you work with people individually. Do you still do that?
Not very much anymore. Mostly all of my clients that I've had for years, we still have sessions, but mostly what so what ended up happening is that for the next 20 years, from age 40 to right around 60, that's when, thank you, Jeanette. From age 40 to 60, that was when I was primarily working with clients. And then during that time, my guidance told me that that's when they said you need to share your gifts. So I started putting together a course called the Creative Mystic Course and Higher Guidance Life Coaching. And that's primarily what I do now, is teach others how to access their own guidance, their own higher guidance, and then how to access the higher guidance for someone else to let them be the coach. And it's very different than life coaching. I'm sure that you all are familiar with that term, life coaching, because it's so trendy. But life coaching, light therapy, like so many of the other different modalities, even just being a friend, listening to someone talk, although they're extremely valuable and all have their place, it's not what higher guidance life coaching is. Higher guidance life coaching is where you tap into someone's higher guidance and let their higher guidance be the coach. And at that point, you have to completely clear your mind of any opinion whatsoever of what they should or shouldn't do. And that's the difference with typical therapy or life coaching. There's a goal in mind. And the practitioner has that goal in mind. We want to get you here where you can accomplish your, your business. And we want to, help you with your relationship. There's some kind of goal in mind. All of that goes out the door when you tap into higher guidance. And whether you're doing it for yourself or for a client, it's about your soul's path. What does your soul want? And that can be very, very different. and it's like, for me, when I was in my 20s, I had very different goals in mind than what I do now. And it was certain those goals had nothing to do with my soul's path. It was completely, very grounded in just this physical world and what we're told we should want, what we're told we should go for, what our goals should be. But when it comes to your soul has purpose in the experiences that it brings to you, purpose in that to bring wisdom to you. And that was another thing that I learned, is that, and this is all through once I had my awakening, which led to writing Hiring the Heavens, which I have to say was preceded by learning how to dowse. I really believe that dowsing is the fastest path to understanding your inner truth. I mean, it just can't help but do that. It opens you up to your own inner truth. So learning to dowse back when I was 40, and then my writing my book, Hiring the Heavens. Why I have to tell you a story of one day when I was doing a meditation out on my front deck. And I was using a meditation that I had often used, where I visualize beautiful green energy coming up from the earth and beautiful violet energy coming down from the heavens, and those two energies commingling within my body and then bursting out through every cell. And it was a beautiful meditation that I really enjoyed. Well, one morning, I'm trying to do this meditation and it's oddly blank. Like there's nothing. I'm not seeing or feeling anything. It's not that there was just even a hint. It was just blank. So I'm trying to power my way through it. I said, oh, bring this green energy up, or bring this violet energy down. Come on, and I'm trying to make it happen, and just nothing. It's so space, just blank space and void. So as I'm getting more and more frustrated, I'm asking my angel team, what's the deal? How come I can't see this energy or feel this energy? What's the deal? And they laughed, chuckled politely, and said, well, my dear, there is no such thing as light and energy. And I said, what? And as I often do, I argue with them. I said, no, everything is light and energy. You're wrong. And they said, no, everything's an illusion, including light and energy. And I said, okay, you're going to have to explain this to me.
Mind blown.
Yes, exactly. So I said, so explain, what's the deal here? Because everything is light and energy as far as I know. Explain to me how even that is an illusion. And they says, well, imagine that you're dreaming. And while you're dreaming, it's a very vivid dream. You're in your living room. You see the colors on your couch. You're talking to somebody. Maybe you're eating a meal and it tastes great. And whatever's going on in that dream, and it seems very real, but it's not. It's just all happening in consciousness. Is there any light and energy in this dream? Or is it all an illusion and happening in consciousness? And this is what they explained to me. Even light and energy is an illusion. And I said, okay. I kind of get that. So if light and energy is an illusion, is there anything that's real? And they said, yes, one thing. Okay, what is it? Experience. Experience is the only thing that's real. So even in a dream that feels very real, you have that experience. And sometimes you wake up from that dream and you're walking around as if, wow, that really happened. It feels so real to you. You had that experience and you gain some wisdom from it. The only thing that's real is the experience that we're having here and the wisdom that we're taking from it. And as we go from lifetime to lifetime, it is our soul that carries that wisdom that we gain from each of our experiences. And so that was, yes, a mind blower for me. So that's what we're doing here, is we are creators. Creators of what? Experience. And why would we be creators of experience? Because we want to know the truth of something. That's why. And the only way to know the truth of something is to experience it. And a perfect example would be, anybody here that's a mother who's had children knows you can read 100 books about what it's like to give birth to a child. But then that moment comes when you're in labor, and then okay. And it's the same thing. Like if I decide that I want to know what it's like to climb Mount Everest, I'm just going to sit on my couch and read a book about it. Okay. I can do that and have a vicarious experience of climbing Mount Everest, but how would I really know? How would I know? Unless I get up off the couch and I start training for it, and I start going through smaller challenges, and I work myself up, and I finally make that big climb of Mount Everest. And only then can I say, I now know the truth of it for me, of what it's like to climb Mount Everest. And so it is when before our soul incarnates, our soul says, I want to know what it's like to stand up for myself and own my own power. Well, how will I do that unless I challenge myself? So I'm going to set up experiences and arrange my life so that I can have one challenge after another brought to me, so that I can work maybe through some smaller little mountains and challenges and work my way up, so that I can know the truth of what it's like to stand up for myself and own my own power. So that is who we are. We are here as creators of experience so that we can know the truth of it. And the only way that we can ever know the truth of something is to actually live it. So here we have this beautiful three-dimensional world where we get to play it out, where we get to experience it all.
Or that I think we get stuck in the trap of judging it so much. Right?
Oh yeah. And so here's the thing, which is really kind of an interesting phenomenon that I started seeing happen with my clients. There are those things that we show up that are just like our small wonders, like, I wonder what it's like to do this or to that. And we accomplish those, and then we never have to deal with that again. There are other things that are major themes. And these major themes, let's just say the major theme your soul came in with was to explore what it's like to stand up for yourself and own your own power. Well, it's like weightlifting. You know, if you've ever been to the gym, you don't say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym and lift feathers. You wouldn't say that. I mean, why? What's the point, right? You go, okay, I am going to start out with a 2-pound weight. I'm going to start out there. I'm going to move up to a 10-pound. I'm going to move up to 15 pounds. And you want to keep increasing that because that's your goal, is to get stronger. And then even once you reach your goal, okay, I'm now lifting 50 pounds over my head. Fantastic. That was my goal. I'm done. I never have to go to the gym again. No. No, it's not like that. So when your soul says, my theme is, and what I really want to know is how to stand up for myself and own my own power, guess what? You're going to start out with the smaller weights, smaller challenges, and you'll see these themes come around in your life. And then, okay, I'm going to go a little bit heavier, go with a 5-pounder, a 10-pounder. And then once you reach like, okay, I should be totally done with this. I see this theme recurring in my life over and over and over. Aren't I done with this? Why
Right.
does this keep happening?
Right.
Well, you're still in the gym and you're still lifting that weight. And if your soul hasn't said, okay, I am so done with this and I never want to go back to the gym, then guess what? You're going to keep going to the gym and keep lifting those weights. And we do that. The saying that guidance gave me is, how long do you need to do it? You need to until you don't. And when you don't, you won't. And so we keep lifting those weights until we have, like, I'm just so done with that. And I never want to step foot in that gym again. And
Wow. That explains a lot, because I think so many of us are hard on ourselves. We're like, oh, we've done the work. We've overcome all these things. We've mastered these things. And here it is again.
here it is again.
Where did this pop up from? Yeah.
Yes. And usually, when it comes around where here it is again, it's an even stronger challenge. It's like, what's the deal? I thought I finished this. I thought I resolved that issue. I thought I've worked through it all. And here it is. And it's an even bigger issue than it was before. Well, it's a heavier weight. That's all. That's all that's happening. And this is by design. So why? Because you're a creator of what? Experience, so that you can know the truth of it. And you, as a curious creator, your soul will not stop going to the gym until it knows for sure, I can lift that weight, no problem. I've got it. I'm done. I never have to go to that machine again in the gym. And that's another thing, is like I had one client that she always had issues with self-esteem. And she said, I see so-and-so and I see so-and-so and so-and-so, and they don't have issues with self-esteem. Why do I? And I said, well, that's because that's the weight machine you're on. Believe me, they're in the gym and they've got their own weight machine. They've got their own machine, and it's but yours is self-esteem. And so just keep working it. That's your weight that you're lifting.
Well, so is that where we can call in our hiring the heavens and
I guess we're here to talk about that, aren't we?
Well, this is just like a beautiful segue. I mean, I think that that's reassuring to people to hear that.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
You're in it and you're just thinking, what's wrong with me? Why, what's this about?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that always used to perplex me when I would have clients that would come in and they'd have a significant health issue, because I started out as a naturopath, but they'd have a significant health issue. We'd do a little bit of testing. We'd get the answer from our higher guidance, and boom, the answers, the issue's resolved. Maybe I see them one more time. Everything's great. Thank you very much. And then others, it's year after year, and we're still dealing with this same theme that's coming up and still dealing with this issue. And what's going on? And I used to feel like myself, like I must be doing something wrong because this is clearly not getting better. And what I didn't realize at the time is that whether it's health issues, relationship issues, money issues, your soul, your guidance uses all of it as a tool to get your attention to explore these themes, to gain the experience. Because if everything in your life was perfect, first of all, what would you work on, right? And second of all, and this is a thing that's really important, is that the purpose of our life is not perfection. It never has been. There's like programs out there that try to tell you that if you just do this, or if you just use this formula, or if you're just in enough attitude of gratitude, or if you just, apply the law of attraction, or if you just this or just that, if you do it right, then your life will be perfect and you won't have this issue anymore. But that's never been the purpose of our life. Never has been. We are here as creators to know the truth of something. That's our purpose. And if your soul has to use different things that vex us to keep our attention, to keep our focus, then that's what it does. And so some people come in with financial issues. Well, that's the weight machine they're on. Some people come in with health issues. Well, that's the weight machine they're on. Some people come in with relationship issues. That's their machine, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is not to reach perfection and to resolve all issues. The point is to grow in wisdom, and to grow in understanding, because since it's the only thing that's real, it's the only thing your soul is going to take with you when you pass from this dimension, is the wisdom that you gain from this life. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And I will get to hiring the heavens, but I just want to ask, since I never thought we were going to go here, but I'm just going with it. Does anyone have a question for me? We've already talked about some pretty deep stuff.
That's how we roll. Yeah.
Terry's
Okay.
raising her
Yeah,
hand.
Terry.
Well, so I'm wondering, as you're talking, is that like there's a saying that we never have challenges that are more than we can handle or more than we can deal with. So it seems to me what you're talking about is exemplifying that we're presenting ourselves actually with
Yes.
more and more challenges or things.
Yes. Like you would be silly to go in without any preparation and try to lift 250 pounds over your head, right? You're not going to do that. You're going to start with lower weights and you're going to work yourself up to that. And so that's the same thing that we do in our arrangement, our orchestration of our life here.
So when I'm doing my cheerleading for myself, that's one of the things that I look at. If it's being presented to you, if you're faced with this, you can do it. It's something that you can work through. You may not like it. It might not be fun, but the other side of it is going to be beneficial for you.
Thank you for bringing that up, Terry, because that is spot on. And actually, I need to say that to a client I was just having a conversation with. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, because yeah, once we start going to heavier and heavier weights, like you say, it's not that it's fun. Who wants that? But we can handle it.
Well, that was one of the things that one of the really key things that I got from you when you were in Tucson at one of the workshops, when you talked about this experiential. And I use that all the time. People get so annoyed with me because I talk about the fact that it's all an illusion. And, you know, I don't want to bring religion into it, but when we talk about, people talk about Christ, and he said, this you can do and more. And this is how, if he's the Son of God put here on earth to experience, because spirit doesn't have that ability. So through us, we're sharing.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Stacy. I think you put in a comment there, and I think your name was Stacy, and because it's off right now, but thank you very much.
Yeah, that she loves hiring the heavens, and she suggested to several friends. So yeah. Well, okay, so I have to ask, can hiring the heavens create my mantra is grace and ease, right? I want to experience whatever I need to experience with as much grace and ease as possible. And I'm imagining that hiring the heavens can be a vehicle for that.
Of course. Of course. And so, Mary, this may be, and looking at your website, you exemplify that. And the way that you work with colors and your interior design, you exemplify grace and ease. So well done. And that may be something that you came in here to discover. And that may be, oh, she wants to know what your website is. Okay, yay. But so perhaps one of your soul's desires was to know how to live from grace and ease, and that is what you are exploring. And there may, if you look back at your life, you may see that there have been challenges regarding that. and weightlifting, you know, and getting stronger and stronger in presenting that to the world. Good for you. However, I'm only going to say this, though, that if you listen to enough seminars, that's one of the things, again, that is promoted. That, again, if you do things just right, you'll have things with grace and ease. It'll just come to you. You won't, you know, all this anxiety you've had about it, it'll just fade away and it'll just come to you. So when I've worked with clients, this started happening where a client would say this to me: I just want money to come to me with ease, or I just want my future husband to come to me with ease. I just want, and then I would hear their higher guidance in the background go, no, you don't. and I'm like, she doesn't? And they're going, no. That would be like me saying, I just want to climb Mount Everest with ease. I just, I just want to be able to do it from my couch. Come on. Can't I do that? No. When we come into this life, we do so ready for the challenge that we've put forth for ourselves. And we know that it's going to take everything we've got. And we're up for that challenge. And so when these experiences come to us and they're rough and they're tough, and we say, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Come on, can't it just be with ease? And your soul, your guidance is saying, you're up for the challenge. This is the only way you're going to get to Mount Everest. You're going to have to go through some frostbite. You're going to have to go through some, times when you're super hungry and super thirsty, and times when you slip and fall. You're going to have to go through that, but it's the only way to the top. And so much of the time when we say to ourselves, oh, can't this just be easier? Can't I just have it come to me? Why does it have to be such a struggle? And we just want to, of course, that's the human part of us, but your soul is behind that, cheering you on and saying, we knew what we signed up for. We did. And we knew it was going to take everything we've got. So let's get through this. So
no promises.
No promises. And that's the thing, is that when before incarnating, we know the deal. We know what we're doing. When we get here, we get enamored by the success we see around us. We're not seeing their personal weights that they're lifting, but we see so-and-so over there that's made a huge financial success. And we see so-and-so over there that has the perfect marriage. And we see so-and-so over there that just has perfect health, So we see that and we say to ourselves, why can't I have that? And we can definitely work towards that. But if you how many times have you heard podcasters or inspirational speakers talk about the challenges that they went through and overcame, and now they have that success? They have that success only because they overcame those challenges. Or say there's someone that Jeanette, I see all your they have that success because that's what their soul said. This is what we're here to explore. This is what we want to dig deep within us and dig deep and find the resources within us to bring this, to see what we've got, to see if we can make it. And they do it, they overcome the challenges, and now they're a success, and they're a huge inspiration to others. Huge.
I guess what you can't create a diamond without the pressure, right?
Without the pressure. And somebody put a chat in there. Would you? It's off my screen.
Says, if it's not stress, but how we are in the face of stress, what do you think about working towards balance and harmony in our world?
And so here's the interesting thing that you can do with dowsing and with hiring your team. And we'll get to hiring the heavens here at some point. But here's one of the things that you can do when it comes to balance. One of my favorite charts actually came from Walt Woods. He called it the hormesis curve, but I changed it to the balance chart. So if you see a half pie, and straight up and down is the 50% mark, and over on the left side is 0%, and on the other side is 100%. If you change those numbers from, if you change 0 to way too low, and the 50 to just right, and the 100 to way too high or too much, then you have a balance chart. You can check anything on that balance chart. For an example, talk about stress. So you can check with your pendulum and see, for this particular situation that I am experiencing, show me my stress level. And if it goes to the 50 mark, it's just right. That's the perfect amount of stress for the situation you're in. If it goes to the left, It's too little. We need to ramp up the stress, maybe make yourself more accountable, put more pressure on yourself. Or if it's to the right, then it's too much. You'll have to find ways to decrease and pull off on the stress. So talk about balance. That balance chart is fabulous for figuring out exactly where you want to be. And by the way, you can use that balance chart to check everything, including emotions. For an example, check all right, what's my level of anger? And if it's just right, and you say to yourself, but I'm not really angry about anything. Well, that's just right for you. You're just right. But if it goes too little, it's saying you need to be angry about something. You're not, you're in denial about this and you need to get angry. Or if it goes to the right, it's way too much and saying, calm down. Let's rethink things and back off a little bit on the anger. So everything, including emotions, even what we would call negative emotions, have their perfect sweet spot for a circumstance that you're in. So I love the balance chart for checking stress and for whatever situation it is, about helping you handle where you are in this.
That's a great tool. Do you have another favorite chart?
I use the balance chart and I use the percentage chart. Let me talk about some things I've learned about dowsing that I think will be very helpful. And I call it my handy tool. Okay, because if you look at your hand, you'll be able to guide yourself in asking good questions, because as you probably are aware, when it comes to dowsing, the accuracy of your dowsing depends on the accuracy of your question, right? So let me talk about this handy tool. So the first thing before, okay, when we start, we got to start with the broadest question. Your thumb is your broadest finger. So this is the broadest question you can think of to start with. And guess what that would be? It would be, does my higher guidance have an opinion about this? Because if you make the assumption that higher guidance has an opinion about something and you try to force an answer, you're going to get inconsistent and perhaps even garbage answers. And so for an example, I had a client that said this is exactly what happened to her. A friend of hers called up and said, can you douse and find out what's wrong with my cat? I don't think she's feeling well. She's not keeping her food down. What's wrong with my cat? And she intuitively felt like, this is not mine to do. And I don't, I shouldn't be answering this question. And yet this person said, come on, why are you holding out on me? You know how to douse on this. So then she started dowsing and was forcing an answer and got back garbage responses. It made her feel terrible. But if she had asked from the very beginning, is this something guidance has an opinion about? Is this something guidance even wants to help with? That would have helped solve that problem. But let's just say that guidance said, yes, I have an opinion about this. Let's douse. Then the next thing that you want to do is get pointed in the right direction. That's your pointer finger. Get pointed in the right direction. All right. Okay. Guidance says it wants to help with this cat that's not feeling well. How do we get pointed in the right direction? So you would start asking questions. Do you want to talk to us about, you could either use a chart or you could just start asking questions. Is it about a virus? Is it about a bacteria? Is it about her food? Is it about an emotion? You can start getting pointed in the right direction. And let's say that the dowsing takes you to, it actually is an emotion. Okay. Now, the next thing we got to do is, all right, we got pointed in an emotion to emotion. You can use a dowsing chart to find out which emotion. Let's say it goes to, the dowsing takes you to abandonment, and turns out that this friend, her boyfriend just left her up and left, and she's dealing with all this emotional abandonment issues, and that has, translated over to the cat. The next thing that you want to do is verify this information, and you do that with the middle finger. Now, the middle finger is right in the middle. It can go this way or it can go that way. So you want to ask your question in a positive and in a negative way to make sure that you have uncovered any assumptions. So for an example, what you would do, is it true that this cat is feeling ill and not able to keep her food down due to the emotion of abandonment that her owner is feeling? And you should get a yes, okay? Now ask it in the opposite way. Is it not true that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And you should get a no, that's not true. But if you also got a yes, that means there's some kind of an assumption that you're not paying attention to. And this happened, like, I've seen this happen so many times where I think that I've understood something, and I'll ask it in a positive and negative, and it turns out I have an assumption. Like, for an example, my daughter, one time we did a dowsing when she was in college about what she was going to do with her, where she was going to go with her education, and she was to become a doctor. My assumption was she was going to become a medical doctor. Okay, so I asked, is it true that she's going to become a doctor? Yes. Is it not true that she's to become a doctor? Yes. And I said, well, they can't both be true. And what I discovered was she was to get her doctorate, but not become a medical doctor. Okay, so that's how you can uncover assumptions. Now we move on to the next finger, the ring finger. The ring finger is about relationships, right? And what's one of the most important things about relationships? That you understand each other. So if you think you've heard your partner speak and he's gone on and on and on explaining something, and you say back to him, all right, so what you're saying is this, and you have misunderstood what he's trying to say, he's going to let you know right then and there. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. And that's really important to make sure that you're not misunderstanding. So this ring finger, once you get the message from higher guidance, you want to make sure on a scale of 1 to 100, how well do I understand what higher guidance is telling me? So let's go back to the situation with the cat. We've understood that the cat is not keeping its food down because it's picking up on the emotion of abandonment because the owner's partner just walked out on her. On a scale of 1 to 100, how well do I understand that? If I get 100%, great, I've got the message. If I don't get that, if I get something like only 50% or worse, 3%, I've totally misunderstood what guidance is telling me. All right. So then I have to go back to the drawing board and rethink this. And one of the examples that I use is that, and I do use this a lot with when I'm working with clients. If I were to hold this object up to you, and when we're just looking at it from this point of view, we really don't even know what it is. But we turn it a little bit, and now we see it from another point of view. And now we see it from another point of view, and then we see it from this point of view. And the more that we turn this object, we get a better idea of what it really is. And so it is with what our guidance is trying to tell us. It's like a 3-dimensional object, and you just kind of got to tweak it and turn it a little bit to make sure that you see it for what it is. And so you want to get to where it's 100%. Yes, I understand what guidance is trying to tell me. Now the little finger, is there any little bit more you want to tell me? And that's the little finger. Okay, maybe there's a little bit more piece, and you could change your cat food. You know, so that's the handy tool of how to dowse and get good answers to your dowsing.
That 5-finger chart.
Yep. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is taking the lead of higher guidance, taking the lead. Like for an example, if you say to yourself, thanks, Jeanette. If you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to dowse and figure out what's going on with my finances. And I just know that it has to do with the fact that I'm in the wrong job. So what job do I need to have? And so right there, you are leading higher guidance. If your questions now are all about what job do I need to get? You've taken over, you've now forced higher guidance to answer those questions and haven't gone all the way back to the beginning with that broadest question. Okay, do you have an opinion about what's going on with finances? Yes. Let's get pointed in the right direction. Does it have to do with the job I'm in? No, it doesn't. So the biggest trouble people get into is when they take the lead and say it's this, and they pigeonhole higher guidance to answer questions because they think they know where higher guidance should answer. We want to let higher guidance take the lead. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, this is very, very, very helpful. And it's practical too.
Good. Good. Okay, let's talk about hiring the heavens. Because, yeah, the whole hour's gone by and we haven't even talked about the book. So
we're good. We've got another 30 minutes. So we're we go till 8:30. So yeah,
okay.
I mean, this is a beautiful segue, I think. Lots of information that is very helpful. And then I think it'll just kind of dovetail. So when we're hiring the heavens, can we get as specific as we want? Do we need to dowse and do our chart on something specific, or how does that work?
Okay, so yeah, it's all of the above. And a lot depends on your own personality. You know, like some people are very detail oriented and very good at organizing. So when they put their heavenly committees together, they want it all organized and detailed out and explained, and the task list is there. But other people, that would just be a burden for them to do that. And oh my gosh, forget this. I just want to hire somebody, whoever, do it for me. So it depends on your personality, and both work. Everything works. So there's no one perfect way of doing things, and you can't get this wrong. So you can relax. And here's the thing that is so important about hiring the heavens. I thought when I first was writing it was my developmental editor that told me about the law of attraction. Since this was all new stuff to me, I hadn't even heard of that. And so she gave me a few tapes on it, and I thought, okay, yeah, this is probably working on the law of attraction. But as time went on, guidance said, no, this hiring the heavens does not work on the law of attraction. Hiring the heavens works on the law of grace, which you'll like, Mary, since you're about
all
grace.
about grace and ease.
Yep. It works on grace, the law of grace. So what's the difference? The law of attraction says that like attracts like. if you're putting out this thought, that's what you're going to get back, right? And it can't be otherwise. And the universe does not pick and choose favorites and say, you know, so if you put out that vibration, that's the vibration you're going to get back. What can happen over time is that you start becoming hypervigilant. Okay, what energy am I putting out that made that come into my life? You know, what did I do now to cause that? You know, so maybe I'm just not enough gratitude. Maybe I'm just not putting out enough positive energy. And we start going through the list of things that we think will make it work, because we say to ourselves, there must be a formula. If 1 + 1 = 2, I have got to make this work. There has got to be a way to make it work. So when this is a funny story, because my mentor, I met her at a small conference, and she channels a group of interdimensional beings. Terry's met her. She channels a group of interdimensional beings called Amag. That's spelled AMAG. And the person that was putting on this conference, she said, would you like to have a private session with Amag prior to the gathering? And I said, absolutely. How exciting. I get to talk to these interdimensional beings. This is amazing. So I had a whole list of questions that I wanted to ask Amag. I mean, I finally get to talk to these interdimensional beings and get the scoop of what's going on. And so the first thing I said to Amag was, well, you know, with the law of attraction, how blah, 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 and I don't even remember what else I said. And Amag interrupted me and said, excuse me, what is this law of attraction? And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, what do you mean you don't know what the law of attraction is? You're interdimensional beings. You created a lot of this stuff. You have to know what this is. Don't you guys talk on the other side? You know, you have to know. But I didn't say any of that. I'm just dumbfounded. And then I begin to explain to Amag what the law of attraction is. And after I finished, Amag goes, yes, I see. Well, yes, if you think so. Okay, that was the end of my session. My mind was blown. Well, it turns out later, after I got to know this person very well, she says, oh, they were just pulling my chain. But also to make me think a little bit. If I think the law of attraction is all there is, then how do I explain a lot of other stuff that's going on? And what else is there? And so that's when I asked my guidance, how do I, you know, what's going on here? And what they told me was that it can be explained in, well, actually, they said, look for the Trinity. And I'm going, oh, come on. I'm so past religion. Don't talk to me about that. And they said, no, everything's in threes. Everything. In order to manifest on this three-dimensional world, you are being governed by no less than 3 laws. A whole lot more than 3, but never less than 3. So I said, okay, how do I know what those 3 laws are? And they said, you can explain it with lights, camera, action. A simple term in movie production, lights, camera, action. So let's take the action level. The action level is just like an actor being on stage. That is the part of us that actually has to live it. to live an experience. We have to be on the stage, portraying the emotions, experiencing it. Without the actor, there's no show. That level is governed by the law of consequences. And it's the law that we're most familiar with, because when we are young and we're learning to walk and we bump into the coffee table, law of consequence. That is not law of attraction. That is law of consequence. When I bump into this, I fall. When I touch a hot burner, it hurts. That's law of consequence. And we're so familiar with that we don't even think about it anymore, because we go through life knowing that there are consequences for our actions. That happens at the action level. Let's go to the camera level. Here, it's the law of attraction. It's what are you focused on? What's your camera lens looking at? If you're looking at all beautiful flowers and positivity, that's what you're going to see. If you're looking at all negativity and horrible stuff, that's what you're going to see. Where's your camera lens? Where's your focus? That's the law of attraction. And we can do so much with that by changing our camera lens, changing what we're looking at, changing our thoughts, changing, that's the law of attraction. But we go to the lights, that's our spiritual self. That's the law of grace. The law of grace said it's a gift to you. There is nothing that you can do to make it work. There is nothing that you can do to have it taken away from you. It is yours because of who you are, because you are a divine being. And it's your gift. You didn't earn it. You don't have to earn it. You can't have it taken away from you. I don't care how many swear words you use. I don't care that you didn't, give money to somebody that was on the street. I don't care if you did something you feel horrible about. There's nothing that would ever take it away, because who are you? You're a divine being. You cannot have that taken away. And there's nothing you can do to earn it either. It's just yours. It's a gift. So here we are. We're asking ourselves, and this came about when I was writing Hiring the Heavens, and I was seeing these amazing things happen. And I asked the question, how is it possible that this immense, incredible power and force is interested in helping me organize my closet? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Why would they even care if my engine on my car is working? Why would they even care if I, got to time and got to an appointment on time? Why would they care? What difference? What does that make in the, that's not something like that's really giving to the world. It's just for me. So why would they care about me? Well, the truth is that you are a divine being. You are here as on a mission, let's say, on a mission from God to experience, and as a creator of experience. And so this is the gift that you are being given, is your spiritual self. And your God self says, God says, I will give you all the support you need in the creation of your experience. And it's nothing you have to do to earn it. It's yours because you're there for me. Does that make sense? We are all here experiencing and reporting back about our experience and bringing back our wisdom. And we have all the support of the celestial realm to help us do that.
Okay, so I have a question. I love that. And so back to what we were discussing earlier about being in the gym, right? And we're, I don't know, learning how to do the 50-pound weight. So how does the gift of grace play into that? How can we access that for more grace and ease?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, okay, let me start out with the beautiful ways that your committees and your heavenly committees will show you that they're there for you. And to do that, we're going to talk outside the gym first. about just wonderful things and miracles that happen that prove to us and show us that that support is there for us. So I told you I was going to tell you a story about my daughter who, like I said, since that time of back when she was only like 12 years old, and helped her to, her angels helped her to pick out the perfect bathroom accessories. She talks to her angels every day about everything, and they help her with so many things. And now she's 28 and living down in the LA area. Her and her fiance and a buddy of his went to the beach. They were going spearfishing. And the buddy was brand new to spearfishing. He was all excited, bought himself a wetsuit, bought himself a spear gun, so excited. And they go out into the water, and probably within 15 minutes, he loses his spear gun in the water. They look everywhere. They're swimming around, they're diving down, they're trying to find this spear gun, can't find it. And they come in, they talk to my daughter, they go, oh gosh, lost the spear gun. And the fiance says, well, you know what, let's just make a day of it, and let's just go out and enjoy ourselves in the water, which they do. They're out there for about an hour. And they come back. And but my daughter was just noticing how sad the friend was that on his very first day out, he loses his spear gun. So she just says, all right, angels, let's find his spear gun. So she gets up and she walks down a side section of the beach, hops down some rocks, and walks right up to it. It's right there for her. And she brings it back to him. And her fiance says, I know what you did. You hired the angels, didn't you? Because he's gotten really used to these kinds of things happening for her. Okay. What those experiences do for us is remind us that the support is there. It's always there. And that wasn't anything about her being in the gym. So it was like, oh, we'll just do this for you. We'll find the spear gun for you. But now let's get to the gym. The gym is where we're working out the things that we came here to work on. And we're working on, let's say, learning how to stand up for ourselves and to own our power. That's the weight machine we're on. And we're going through a particular challenge that just has us crying in our pillow and going, why does it have to be so hard? You know?
This is so heavy.
Yes. You have to know your angel team is there for you, but they are not going to take that weight away from you. Why would they? Why would they say, oh, here, let me just take that 50-pound weight. You can go home. You don't have to lift today. Why would they do that? That when that's what you came
because
to
you're
do.
crying on your pillow, asking them to. That's why.
You know, so
Yeah.
they're privy to what your soul came here to work on. And can they assist in that? And can they help you? And can they give you support? You know it. But they will not take the weight from you. Terry quoted something out of the Bible. I'll just do it. But remember the story in the Bible about Christ, you know, he prayed to have that taken from him. Was it taken from him? No. He
That's a good point.
did what he came to do. Yeah, but great question. So just know that when you're crying in your pillow, they're there for you. They have not abandoned you. They are not ignoring you. They are there for you, but they cannot intervene and take something from you that your soul really desires.
Okay. So maybe if you've been asking for something and it doesn't seem to show up, that could be because that's your soul contract or what.
There's something there for you. So what you
Yeah.
can do is ask your angel committee, all right, I don't get it, but I trust that there's something here for me. Can you bring it to my attention? Can you bring me awareness of what it is that I need to know and learn? Because here's the thing, we're here for wisdom. All right. So, you know, they can assist on tapping you on the shoulder and say, okay, or they can put it up on a billboard, the message that you need.
Or have an oracle card show up or
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a great way to so they're always there and they're always supporting us, but it's sort of like how that, you know, our chart, right? How are we asking those questions? How are we allowing that support to show up?
Oh, she says, which Christ story I was referring to when before he was crucified, he went into the garden for you know, and was trying to say, please take this cup from me, you know,
right.
I don't want to have to go through this.
Right. But if it's your will, you know,
yes,
okay,
I will be done.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
So
going back to my biblical days, that was okay.
So your daughter uses this for everything,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a daily practice for her, as it is for me, to just constantly be talking to them, because they're always there for you. And they prove it in those ways that are just little miracles that show up, and it's just so awesome. I'll tell you a story of, you know, like in my book, I talk a lot about all right, I talk about a lady who hired a jewelry sleuth to bring her pearl back, and it's an amazing story. But that jewelry sleuth is so awesome. Like, her celestial phone number got out on the on the airways, and it's like so many are calling on her. And the stories that I've heard about missing jewelry just reappear. One of the stories came from someone that wrote a review on Amazon.
Oh, that's fun.
And the review, pardon me?
That's fun.
Yeah. And the review was so cool. It was, her mother had passed away 3 years prior. And what had always been promised to her was her mother's opal ring. But when she passed, they scoured through the house and could not find it. And, oh, Penny, I'll tell you a story about that. So could not find it. And we're looking everywhere for it. 3 years goes by. She'd given up all hope of ever having her mother's ring. And then she read Hiring the Heavens and thought, I'm going to call upon that spiritual jewelry sleuth to find my mom's opal ring and bring it to me. So in just a couple of days, she's doing her laundry and taking things out of the dryer and folding them and making socks. And one of the socks has a knot tied in it. She thought, that's really odd. How did a knot get in a sock? And she actually can hear something in there. She unties the sock, puts her hand in, and pulls out her mother's ring.
That's
So
remarkable.
when you hear stories like that, those are true miracles. Now, the story that I was going to say about that was another lady who wrote to me and said that she opened, Penny says, I'll check my
She's
socks.
going to check her socks.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a 3-year gap there. So you
Yes,
got
a
to.
3-year gap. But here, one lady wrote to me an email and she said that one day she opened her jewelry box and there was a place where she kept a very special diamond ring and it was missing. So she called upon the spiritual jewelry sleuth. She said, find my diamond ring and put it back where it belongs. A month later, she wrote to me, still not there. A month after that, she wrote to me, still isn't there. I look every day. I open the jewelry box. The ring's not there. I don't hear from her for another 4 months. The ring's still not there. Now I don't hear from her until about a year later. The email said, it's there. She just opened the jewelry box like she normally would do. And there was the ring a year later. What was the message behind that? I don't know.
Yeah. Divine timing, not ours.
And she says, what specific words to use to talk to your committees? So there are no specific words. And I'll say that it's so important to know. There's any way you want to do this is fine. And you can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. I have, this is one of my favorite stories. I have a good friend here that this was several years ago and her home was in foreclosure. And she had been trying to get a loan modification so that she could keep her home. And it had been almost a year and just nothing was working. No matter what banker they worked with, no matter what loan officer, they just couldn't get a loan modification so that she could stay in her home. And she called me out of desperation. She said, Jean, you've got to hire the heavens for me. And I said, you do this, that you can do this. She goes, I'm just desperate. So I said, okay, all right. So I went down to her office and there we sat and I said, okay, let's do a meditation. So I said, I want you to imagine that you've got a boardroom. All right, let's start filling the chairs with all of those specialists you want to hire. We want the cosmic banker. We want a cosmic loan officer. We want a cosmic mediator. And we just started filling up the room with everyone that we could think of to help her get the loan modification she wanted and so she could keep her home. Well, I said, okay, let's start the meeting. I think we've got everybody. And just then, now we're doing this as a meditation. My eyes are closed. And just then, out of the corner of my eye, I see the door of the boardroom open. And in walks a gentleman in a 3-piece suit and a top hat. And behind him are 2 other big gentlemen in 3-piece suits and top hats. And the gentleman in front comes around to the head of the table and he takes the chair right at the top and he sits down and he says, we will make them an offer they can't refuse. Oh my God, Mom. And I just started laughing. I said, you needed clout. So within 2 days, she had her loan modification at the lowest rate possible. I think it was 2.9%. It was nuts. And people were saying, like, how is that possible that you would get this rate? We needed clout.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Stacy has her hand raised. Stacy, do you have something you want to?
Yes, I do, Mary. Thank you. Jean, this is so incredibly helpful, and I've been taking a lot of notes. And so one of the things that you said about when issues continue to come up and you're working on them and you're working on them and you're working on them, and you know, you think it's resolved and then wham, it hits you again. So can your committee help guide you to someone who can also help you with maybe a modality or some other kind of approach to help you recognize more? How does that come into play with, like, if a third party is needed to help open that path or help you see how you can open that path to healing yourself? How does that play into the committee?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So you want to be asking your committee, like I always bring in all the specialists that you think will be of assistance on the spiritual level, hire them, and then just ask them, if I need somebody here on this physical level, bring them to me, because it isn't about, you don't have to white knuckle yourself through all this stuff. The purpose of those experiences is for you to gain the wisdom of the experience. But it isn't about you having to white knuckle yourself through it. You absolutely can get tremendous support from the heavens. And like the lady that I was telling about who couldn't get her loan modification, one of the things that she learned from that is to ask for help.
That's great. Thank you very much. Very helpful.
Thank you. We have a question. Any recommendations for lawsuits?
Yeah. So when I am dowsing, I will always hire the heavens if I'm going into an area of which I know nothing. So for an example, if I'm dealing with a legal issue, I will hire from the heavens a whole legal team to answer through my pendulum. So as I ask the questions, I'll have my spiritual lawyer answer the question through my pendulum. Would you read the question again? I want to make sure I'm answering it.
She just says, any recommendations for lawsuits?
For lawsuits, yeah. So hire your team, anybody that you can think of, and then maybe, imagine that boardroom and see who else might walk in the door for you.
I like the vision of the boardroom. That's very helpful. So what has been most helpful for you hiring the heavens? Is there one thing that just sort of stands out for you, Jean?
Yes. My whole purpose. Because, once I realized that, and it started out with just fun, it started out with just fun with hiring the heavens for, well, first of all, to help me with my clients as a naturopath, but then it moved into just fun stuff, like, the spiritual mechanic, the spiritual interior decorator, the spirit, just having fun with it, helping me with my kids, all of that stuff. But eventually I realized that, well, if they're there for me for all these things that I'm asking for, I have questions about what this life is all about. Like, why did I have to grow up in a cult? Why did that have to happen? Why did this have to happen? What's this life about? Who am I? What am I here to do? Does any of this matter? So I had all those questions. And so what happened was I put together a spiritual team that I called my creative mystic team. And that's why my website's called Creative Mystic. They're my creative mystic team because I was asking all the creative mystic questions. Who am I? How did I get here? What's this all about? Those are the mystic questions. So I put together my team and I started asking them questions. And I journaled for 3 years asking those questions and went on a whole journey with my creative mystic team. And during that time, they said, we don't want you to read any books. Because like I was a neophyte. I only had what I knew from the cult that I grew up with. And then, you know, I shunned everything after that for 20 years. So since I was coming at this with fresh eyes, they said, we don't want you to read any books. We want to give it to you direct. So for 3 years, I journaled and asked these questions. And that's where they gave me this information about the lights, camera, action, about, you know, everything about who are we, how we got here, how's the soul have an experience, why it matters. All of that came from those 3 years. And then it's really been fun afterwards to read books that echo the same information. It's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. I had a question and can we hire the heavens for others?
Yes. Yes. So it's like this. Can you pray for someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Okay.
But doesn't that person always have their own free will?
Absolutely.
So yes, you can hire the heavens for someone else, and I've seen it worked beautifully. But are they open to receiving it? They have their own free will.
Okay, good to know.
And you can be rest assured that if it is against their soul's wishes, they will not, you know, override that. They can't.
Yeah. Well,
So if it isn't in their highest and greatest good to do what you've hired them to do, it won't happen.
Yeah. Well, wow, we are at time already. This has been such a great experience. If you don't mind, I can close us out and then maybe we can have a few minutes with Q&A if anybody else has questions they want to put in the chat.
Or some people have said they've got some great stories. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and people can find you at the Creative Mystic and get your book, get your classes, have a session. Yeah, do other wonderful things. Anything you want to share? Did I
Yes,
miss
I'm
anything?
going to end with the thing that I always end with. And that is, let's go back to the law of grace and this gift that has been given to you. This gift of this tremendous resource pool available to go to work for you and to assist you in your everyday life. It's a gift. Now, when you give a gift to somebody, aren't you just so happy when that person loves it so much they use it every day? But if you gave a gift to somebody and then the next thing you find out is that it's in the closet and they never ever use it. Ugh. So this is a gift that has been given to you. It's yours. You didn't have to earn it. And there's nothing you can do to have it taken away. But to honor it, use it. Use it every day for everything. It's yours. And that's how you honor this gift.
Thank you. That's a wonderful thing to remember. Yay. Well, we're delighted to have you, and the recording will go out. And if I'll announce again, if you're not on the Lone Star Dowsers email list, put your email in the chat, your name and email, and we'll add you to the list so that you can know when wonderful speakers are coming, and you can also receive the replay. And this is possible through donations. So if you would like to donate to our PayPal or Venmo, Mary, Wilson, or mail a check. I gratefully receive, and appreciate you guys doing all the things you do that make this possible for me. So thank you.